It is 7:15, and I will call this meeting to order. And for the Town of Bolton Finance Committee, brand new organization meeting, the regular meeting at the Town Hall in Zoom. It is December 21st, 2023 at 7:15. Call to order. First order of business is public participation. Any comment, public comment?
Any public?
Seeing none.
Can I just say that we're not able to turn on our screens and I'm not sure why.
Oh,
It's Kristen.
hang on, Christian.
Oh,
We can get you squared away. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
So then I'm wondering if there's a setting here that I can or cannot change.
Mr. Moore, in the meantime, this is the clerk. Can you tell me who on the committee is there?
Yeah, I'm gonna have them go down and sound off their names.
Okay, thanks.
Soon as I get this little glitch.
I'm not seeing anything that lets me turn on video for everybody. I see recording, breakout rooms, live on Facebook.
See the security button, she said?
Which one is?
On the bottom.
Third from the left.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Let's go see. Sharing screen is enabled. Start recording, request, remove. I don't see any.
Click on the participants. The participants button down at the bottom,
The participant
This
bot.
one.
and then turn on their cameras, maybe? Try to turn on their cameras for
Let's
them.
see if I can do that. Ask to start video. I can't turn it on, but I can ask you to start your video.
I don't know if CBC wants to. Kristen and John.
Yeah, my screen is complete. I mean,
Oh, wow.
I see a black screen and not my face.
Oh,
Do you have your video toggled, Kristen? Because usually like if the, the thing that covers your camera, the privacy screen, sometimes we hit that by accident.
Yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
video is turned off. It seems like it's done by default, so I think there's a
Alright.
change in how the
I'll
meeting.
check and see if it's on my end. Thanks.
I wonder if Jill can-
Yeah, because I'm looking there and if somebody, it
Why does it
looks like
say
you guys have to turn your video on. Because I can't do it.
so. But everyone can hear, correct?
Yes, we can hear you. Yep.
All right.
So Kristen, it looks like you turned your video on.
Yeah, but she's-
Yeah, but we're not seeing.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying here.
No,
Oh, yeah, it's not you, it's here.
and there is nothing that I can do.
No. We'll have to function.
So I'll have to ask about, I'll have to ask about this. I don't know if they changed the way the meeting is set up to not allow video but there's nothing that I can do with it.
And Jim will be here shortly, so
We can ask
he
him.
can correct that.
Something.
in the meantime, I would ask that with the members starting at the far right, just state your name for the town clerk.
Sure. Ashley Thielen.
Robert Monroe.
Ross Lally.
Bob Mora,
Amanda Gordon.
Reapplying.
and we have no one else. Nope, he's just here as a.
Yeah, we're just missing Christopher.
Correct.
Yep. I'll give Linda the whole board, the name of all the board members.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Rodney's here as a. Here,
He's just here.
ex officio member. All right. Since I go back now, public participation, seeing none, we'll move on to item 3, election of officers. And I would like to nominate Ross to be the chairman.
I'll second it. That's
Motion,
Amanda.
Amanda seconded. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll deem nomination as closed. And I'll ask for a vote. And I'd ask you to please state the names since we're having communications issue. Amanda, you want to start?
Amanda's aye.
Rhea, I. Ashley, I.
Bob, aye.
And I suppose Ross should say aye.
Bob Moore, aye. And it's unanimous vote. Mr. Chairman, it's yours.
Thank you. So do you want me, I guess I have to continue with elections for officers.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Monroe.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
So we have Bob Mora made the motion, Ashley seconded it. Hearing no other nominations, I will say the nominations are closed. All those in favor, we will just go and do a roll call vote. Amanda,
I.
Rhea,
Aye.
Ashley,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Ross, I.
Bob Moore, aye.
So the motion passes. We have Ross Lally as the chair and Bob Monroe as the vice chair. So thank you all and welcome to our new finance committee. And we are going to be all breaking new ground together. So it's going to be a little bit different because everybody's got skin in the game differently this time around. Because we actually have, all of us will vote to approve or not approve a budget. And yet we have representation from town at large, from Board of Ed and from the Board of Selectmen. So different dynamics this time because it's not the big old bad finance committee playing bad cop. So again, I'm just saying, it's just something to keep in mind, some new dynamics, and we'll work through it as we move along. But I would like to keep things the way we did it before, from the point of view of all questions are fair game. You know, we can disagree. Let's just, be respectful if we disagree and disagree with the ideas and not, and not the person. So, again, thank you. And we will continue with the, agenda, which will now move on to what is listed as approval of minutes. But since the minutes were done by the previous board, which is no longer existent, and this is a new board, and I've asked a few people, and most of the consensus is that we can't really approve them so much as accept them, is what I have heard. So I don't know about, that is what I've heard was the general consensus. So if you guys want to accept them, I guess we could look at them if there's any questions, but I think I don't know if we can really actually vote on them.
Well, I would yield to those who were there at the meeting to suggest acceptance because you know what's there. If you feel there should be any changes or corrections, since you were there, we could suggest them. If that's, Mr. Chairman, if that's a fair.
It's fine with me. When you say accepted, do you mean vote on it, or do
No.
you mean is they just okay, you don't see anything out of line?
Correct.
I'm fine with doing that. If there's some corrections or the stuff that we want to note, I think we can do that. Should be fairly easy because they were brief meetings. And hopefully everybody remembered their questions from the last meeting, so they can ask them again this meeting, because it looks like we've got the folks here this time. So I'm not hearing any comments on
I
them.
would suggest that they reflect basically what was discussed and accept them.
So is that the consensus that we can just, they reflect what we did at the last meeting for those who were there? So we have that consensus. Let's move on to the elected official and town staff reports, starting with the tax collection summary. So let me go and call that up on the screen.
Mr. Chairman, while you're doing that, Jim, may I ask Jim, maybe you can correct the visual on our computer?
There is no setting that prevents participants from using their camera. I just Googled it.
Oh, that's,
I don't think it's on our end.
Yeah, it looks like we're not getting any video feeds for any of the participants, and I didn't know if that was something that we had set up to prevent that as a default, and
No.
people can do it, because we're not getting any video feeds.
They are,
There's gonna be the computer guy and
but they aren't
a
either.
robot.
So I presume the folks on the call cannot see anything either, correct?
I can see you guys.
No, we can't see you.
No,
Okay.
yeah,
So then it
we can
is
see you.
Exactly what we said.
So it's a one-way. In that case, I will share, the various documents that we have up. So we can start with the tax collector's report, and let me just go back to Zoom and share that. Okay. So whoever is going to be leading off on the tax collection summary
Jill there.
is Jill there.
I am. Jim, do you want to do it or do you want me to? Doesn't matter.
I'm making a note to try to take care of this Zoom issue.
Okay, all right, so our current tax levy is at 100.54% of 98% collection. It is at 95.71% collection of the 90. Well, actually, we did go with 94% for the motor vehicles because in past, when I've looked at the average or what the percentage was of collections, 94 was pretty much the average for motor vehicle collection. So that 95.71 is of 94% collection. We we can discuss the supplemental number later, but we haven't collected anything. Those are due January 1st.
Yeah, and I think at the last meeting, Charlie had brought up the fact that there was a trend across the state for motor vehicle tax collection to be down because of the lengthened registration periods and.
Well, if
People-
you recall, though, I talked to you about Lori brought in a third party to collect those taxes. She's not going with the marshal anymore. She brought in a third party to go after those people so that we would have less of a problem with collecting motor vehicle taxes because of the span of registration.
Yep, okay, good.
So, yeah, so Lori's on top of that.
All right.
Prior years, we're doing, well, Lori's doing really good at 124%. And interest is at 84.44%.
Okay, cool. Because that was our question the last time and you just answered it this time. So do you see any challenges on tax collection? It looks like everything is it a fair statement to say things are as planned at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
So no exceptions, nothing that we have to keep an eye on as of now.
Not at all.
Any other questions on tax collection summary? If not, I'm looking around in the room. I don't see anybody with comments, so let's move on to the Board of Education update.
Okay, so I don't know that you have something to look at, do you?
I don't
No,
think we do.
No.
Okay, so moving forward, sorry, I will send it to, I'll send it to Jill and to Ross, okay? But so to let you know, we are currently 27% expended compared to 29% at this time last year. We have actualized $83,357 in savings and salaries, and I'm going to speak about that in a minute, and $67,272 in benefits. So that's a total of $150,629. I do anticipate, unfortunately, that we are going to, I guess, fortunately and unfortunately, have additional savings in at least the salaries category. We have currently 2 unfilled certified staff positions. We have 2 unfilled paraprofessional positions. Let me speak about one of the unfilled teaching positions first, if I could, please. So that is a science position at the high school. And unfortunately, our teacher fell ill and the day before school started had to resign. And so, it's the day before school started and we have science classes that we have to meet students' needs for graduation requirements and for college requirements. So our staff, including Joe Maselli, to his credit, moved heaven and earth, reconfigured the whole schedule, reconfigured things. Joe Maselli, this is not, this is to his credit, but this is not not something we're going to duplicate again. Is teaching now 2 classes in order for students to receive what they need to receive to be able to graduate. This is not a manageable situation, but we knew that we would not find a certified chemistry teacher anywhere at the start of school. So we've actualized the full savings for that person's salary and benefits. And we continue to try to fill the remaining 3 positions, and we will be filling that position for next year. We're going to have some movement around potentially teachers in that department, but nonetheless, we will be hiring an additional science teacher to fill that opening. So I just wanted to make you aware of that and what the reason for it. And then the other thing I want to make you aware of is the Board of Education approved a $20,000 transfer from personnel benefits to systems management. The reason for this is because CREC's estimate for the number of active adult devices was, I believe, 215. And once Novus completed their audit this fall, we have 370. So this licensing is necessary as it provides the tooling for automated patching for Windows and third-party applications. Also included in that cost is Novus Security Services for those endpoints, which provides management of specific reporting and protections, most commonly requested as requirements for cyber liability insurance. So that's the next thing I'd like to just brief you on, if I could. And Jim, I'm certain may want to speak to this as well. I don't know, but from the board side, we are very pleased with the work that Novus is doing. By way of an update for everyone in the room, just as a reminder, I had made a suggestion to Jim and we had agreed like a year and a half ago that we would do an audit of our technology systems because I had some real concerns over what happened with regards to liability insurance that spring. Novus did an audit. There were a number of findings, which both the Board of Ed and the town have both worked very diligently for the last, I don't even know, 9 months, I guess, to rectify. It's been costly, but it was necessary to keep us protected with regards to cyber liability insurance. There are some other things that are going to be coming up, and I've made the board aware of this, where I'm going to potentially be asking for additional transfers to shore us up with regards to our, I'll call it cyber liability report card. I don't want to get into any specifics because it just opens us up to the bad guys, I guess. And I will leave it at that. Any questions for me?
No, but I will
One question.
I'm just gonna make an observation. I know that the town is, the Board of Selectmen are doing some similar work as well, and I think it is very timely that we're doing it. And from what I've seen of it, it is definitely in areas that are needed.
100%.
Yes, Bob Monroe.
Kristen, our compliments to Joe for stepping in and stepping up to the plate here. It's a tough job to try to do too.
Yeah.
Any prospect at all of filling that job?
No.
before you do it?
No, so
none.
part of the problem is, Bob, because science specifically at the secondary level, each science area has its own certification. It's not like being an English teacher where you can have an English certification and teach any grade level. It's very specific.
Yep.
And we reorganized all the classes. So at this point, it doesn't do us any good because then it would mess kids up.
Wow.
Because he's teaching double physics class. We got like 50 kids taking physics.
Amanda, question.
Yeah, just due to my ignorance around the school system, do our students have the opportunity to take chemistry through like CCMC or some other alternative so that they can get chemistry if they want to?
They do. Our seniors had chemistry last year. Our juniors could opt to take it through virtual high school. And we gave our students that option. And we also let them know that if they opted not to take it and went with physics this year, we would be certain that they would have chemistry next year. And we already have, our biology teacher is already gotten his certification in chemistry. So we already know that we have an in-house person certified to do that. So we're working on things.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you both.
Any other questions for Kristen? Thank you very much, Kristen. Then we
Thank
can move. We can move on to the town update.
So I think the next sheet you have, Mr. Chairman, is the revenue statement.
Tax collector, let's go on to revenue statement. Yes, there we go.
And that shows us where we are with meeting our expected revenues for the year. And I think that when you look at it, we're actually doing pretty well. You've got some categories here, like with the general fund revenue and property taxes, although we're still shy a fair amount of money, we're doing very well. The place where we're still waiting for most of the money is from the state of Connecticut education grants, ECS, and adult education grants.
Amanda, question.
This is gonna seem a little out of left field, but on social media, the few $1,000s we get for NIPS came up.
I have answered that question
Oh,
so many times.
I'm sorry, I didn't know the answer.
I'm happy to
I just
answer
wanted
it.
to know
Yes.
where that revenue goes on.
I don't know that the revenue well, it probably goes into the general fund revenue,
Okay,
but
No, it doesn't. It goes into
Doesn't.
liability because there's very specific things we have to spend that.
there are only
Right.
certain things that we can use it on.
Right.
So last year in Bob Morick will probably echo this, but last year when the Board of Selectmen did the budget, we were looking for places to cut the budget. One of the places that we cut the budget was in street sweeping, which is about $13,000 as I recall. And at the time, we had about $12,000 in NIP tax revenue. And so we have used those funds to offset the cost of street sweeping, which is an appropriate use of those funds.
Mhm.
And I don't know why that is generating so much interest, but I've
there's
been,
a story on NPR,
okay.
Potentially, just a transparency thing and people just don't
Yeah, I've been asked that question so many times.
yeah.
Um,
I think it more was also generated, not necessarily for wanting to know where the money was, but just kind of shocked at the number of NIPS thrown away on the side of the street.
so I will tell you that I was shocked by how much money we were getting as a small town in revenue from that NIP tax.
Yeah.
And so we started asking questions. And one of our resident troopers, we unfortunately, we had an unfortunate incident at a couple of our package stores where they were broken in.
Yeah.
But the resident trooper and I had been having a conversation about this NIP tax fund. And so he did some impromptu research when he was doing his investigations. Each of our 3 package stores sells approximately 600 of those a day.
Wow. Wow. And they all wind up on the.
That is a staggering number.
I get the report of how many are sold and I was shocked. I was shocked.
I would never have thought.
600 per day.
Each store.
1,800.
You should see what New Haven or Hartford,
I can't imagine.
And the numbers,
It's a
the
lot.
numbers stack.
We're not alcoholics or something.
Unbelievable.
So the revenue is how much, Rodney, you said?
Well, last year when I don't know I don't know if Jill has the number right now, but
I don't.
last year when we looked at this, when we were building the budget,
Yeah.
we had about $12,000 that we had already collected.
Correct. I think we recently got $6,000 more. And that's only one, we'll get another check later on too.
What was the comment on the 10 cents that Rodney?
It's
10
10 cents a
cents
nipper. They
per
charge.
nip.
And it's awesome.
It's not refundable.
Oh, it's not.
It's not refundable, no, because it goes to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Good question,
I have a comment. Can I jump in here? Do you mind?
Rodney.
So on this interest category under the other town revenue.
Yep.
That seems to throw a big skew into the whole monkey works. I know that 1,730%.
He's taking your job. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
a good thing, Rodney,
Well, I don't know. That's gotta throw any percentages out of whack.
in a good way, though, Rodney, in a
It's
good
in a
way.
good way.
That's a positive number. It's not red.
Bob Monroe?
Yeah.
What it-
Oh, sorry.
The number for November was lower than I anticipated. The calculations that I did were all in my head.
Mhm.
And I was guessing $300,000.
Yeah.
So it looks like because of it diminished so much this past month, that I'm gonna fall short of that $300,000 prediction. But I still don't know. But still, nevertheless, we have one more month at least where there's still a balance there. I don't know what that'll be, 5,000 or something. I have no idea.
Okay.
But
Yeah, Amanda?
So for folks that may not have been here, should we fill them in?
Yes, I was going to do that. If
Yeah, okay.
you can go for it if you want
I mean,
to. I was
try
going
to be
to
as
do
concise
that as well.
possible. So the interest of $15,000, the board last year budgeted that revenue based on the prior year's interest. And in between that, there was a renegotiation of the interest rates on our bank accounts, which has resulted in a significantly higher revenue, which is good. But at the point that we budgeted for this year, we weren't certain what that was gonna look like, which is why we're seeing such a discrepancy between the budget and what we actually got.
And so that also brings up the good point for this group to continue that process of always looking for ways to enhance revenue. And that was one of them. So again, keep your guy, just be open to looking at that. I want to thank Bob for saying, having us really push, with the banks that we do business with.
thanks.
And if I may, because we were on the selectmen's board with that. It took several discussions.
That's Bob Mora speaking. I thank Bob
I'm sorry.
Monroe. Bob Mora is now addressing it from the selectmen's point of view.
That it took a few go-arounds with it, but when it was said and done, the bank became quite cooperative and really set up a system that made a whole lot of sense for both parties. And like you say, this is something you have to look at on an annual basis. Things change. Right now, who knows where the feds are going, but I doubt they're going up anymore, but
Yeah, we gotta be careful.
we're probably we may be at the best we're gonna be for a while.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
No, Bob Monroe.
Yeah, question for Bob.
Bob is asking Bob.
Yes.
That'd be cute, thank you. I would like to see, can I see the document that, did we actually get something
The
from the
contract.
bank that tells us how they're going to
It'd be
calculate
nice to be able
that?
to recalculate it, to your
Huh?
point, so that you're not just doing head math. You want
Right,
to be able
yeah,
to
I mean,
recalculate it,
but this was all guesswork on my
That's in the
part.
bills category.
Nothing to fly on
I-
calendars.
There's an agreement.
Right. We do have a written agreement, yes.
Is that something we could either see or get a summary of, is I think is the
Yeah.
question, because most of it, we're kind of guesstimating.
Right, yeah, I'd like to know how.
I have bank statements that have the average daily balance and what the percentage is. But I did sign a document and I told you that any changes to the bank, with the bank, I have to sign off on. I signed a document and every month, the interest rate is on it, on the bank statements with the average daily balance.
So maybe there was something good for this committee to look at
Yeah.
as part of the monthly meeting.
Yeah, no offense intended there, Joe, just want to find out how it's calculated.
Agreed.
I make these guesses,
What,
and I like to make, them as accurate as I can.
I
Yeah,
don't believe that the document will say how it's calculated. It's anything over a dollar amount. I don't know that this bank statement, it tells you the average. I would assume it's calculated on the average daily balance.
Right, but
Or
we.
average monthly balance, I should say.
you can find out. the
But
bank.
usually-
Because the money moves in and out every day. It's in
Yeah,
and
we
out, in and out, in and
No,
out.
we understand that, Joe, but mostly lots of banks will base what, they have an underlying some index that they're using to calculate.
You just call and ask.
And so that's what we're just curious of, which index it's based on, their interest rates and so forth. Again, it's not faulting you or the Board of Selectmen. It's just wanting to better understand what, how those things work behind the scenes.
It's, quite frankly, it's a simple thing to do. This bank has been very cooperative with,
Yeah.
just ask them. Could you send us something that explains, for this, we have a new committee that explains how this number is calculated.
Okay, so who would take that on as a task?
Is that something
This
you could
committee
do,
or-
Bob or Jill? Could one of you just do that for us?
We'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Jim, you'll take
Yeah.
care of that?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I think it should be part of the monthly meetings.
Yeah. Because it's a big,
An agenda
it's a big part of revenue at this point.
Yeah, it's nice, and I think Bob pointed out, it's not like something that we can depend upon. Because it's gonna change all of that, so I would like to have an idea of how it gets calculated so that I can address this in an educated and
Because
way.
in the next few months, we're gonna have to use a number as a filler for this, and that would help us do that, because just as we were talking about, I think interest rates have peaked because inflation is going down, and they will either stay the same or go down over the next year. So we need to get an idea of, if they are going to go down, what would be a prudent number to put in here? So it's not just a swag like we've done in the past.
Yep, so I would just like to congratulate whoever implemented that. Thank you. That's the equivalent to taxes on probably 150 houses.
Yep.
That was a joint effort all the way around.
Yeah.
Started from the finance board, went to us. And it worked out well.
Yes, Rhea.
I have a question, on the, minutes from the last meeting, there was something I couldn't, number 4, it's tax collection summary. So, it says that, some businesses won't claim all vehicles they own, so the town won't receive the taxes for motor vehicle, personal property, and we will look at collection.
I think I think Charlie had mentioned there was some distinction that, there's gonna be some tax on business, on business vehicles of one kind or another. And I'm not sure the details of it, something he said the state was considering doing, and that there might be an opportunity for businesses just to not mention that they have, what category vehicles are in and how they would be taxed. So, and that might have an effect on revenue. And again, this is like, we wanted to look ahead at what is the state doing that will, could have unintended or intended consequences on our budget.
Oh, so that would be as a result of.
Something the state did, not something that we as a town did.
Or may do, because their legislative session is coming up, and God knows what comes out of that.
Yeah, so that was part of just the look ahead and just to be aware of things like that.
And where does that fall, where does that fall in terms of the? Okay, that here, motor vehicle, so we're 95%.
Of 94.
Of 94, this is what we usually get.
Budgeted to get the 94.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
no, good question. Just feel free to ask us. You're a newbie and
Definite learning curve.
no, well, sometimes the other thing too is we take things for granted. Because we've been doing this and we can miss something, so we need the new people to ask those questions. Any other questions under town update? Jim, anything we need to look out for?
So the only thing that we are flagging at the moment, if you look at the next page, which is the budget, the current status of the budget. The only thing that we are flagging right now is waste collection. We're a little concerned that we may have to move money into that category. So we're watching that one very carefully. But other than that, everything is very much on track.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would mention is that the town is probably gonna receive that grant from the Secretary of State for voting, for early voting. I think it's $10,500. I know that we put in a request for that.
Oh, boy.
So it's not a big amount of money, but it is something new, just the fact that we are, something that the state made available to
Well,
support early voting.
compared to the ROV budget, it's pretty significant.
Yes,
It's something like 20%, it's like.
it's small, yeah, it's small compared to the town overall, but it's good for the budget. For
Absolutely.
the registrars of
And the
voters.
grant has gone in,
Yeah,
yes.
However, to that point, last year we didn't increase the budget as a result of early voting because we had no idea what it was gonna look like.
No.
So
and now we do.
we. Yeah,
They did, the state, they did send out the statute got approved.
Right.
And the Secretary of State's office did send out a draft procedures manual for the registrars. So Bernice and Sandy are currently putting together their proposed budget
Budgets,
for the
okay.
coming year.
Uh.
So I can't talk to it because we haven't firmed it up yet. But that's something that if you feel it's gonna be an increase, so if it's something you guys are interested in, we can present to it because it's going to be a change up. Because it's quite a substantial amount of extra days that are required.
A lot of work, yeah.
yeah.
A lot of man hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, just to give you an example, the Secretary of State, the manual recommends 4 or 5 people be present for the 14 days before the general election that early voting occurs. And you'll look at it like an average pay for that is 16 or 17 bucks an hour, something in that range. And so that's a huge increase because you do that at the general election, you have, I think it's 10 days before the state primaries, and we have 4 days before the presidential preference primary. So just when you see that as a line item in the new budget, there's a reason for it. That's out of our control.
I do think it would be helpful to have a presentation specifically on that so that it's on record for the public
Yeah,
to
'cause
understand it.
it's a big change. So if you want to do that, we can talk about when we get there to have either Bernice or Sandy, present to that. And
I
I would
believe
want
Mr.
to,
Monroe had a question.
yes, Bob,
I do, for you, Jim. Well, you got a report card, from the waste collection people, waste management, about our recycling. Are we still doing, have we improved it all, or?
I don't know that we've improved, but we haven't been penalized. So we're at the mercy of a lot of things with waste collection. We never know what our tonnage is gonna be, although we have an average that we've figured out, and that's what we based the budget on, was an average.
Mhm.
But that fluctuates up and down both with household
Holidays.
waste collection and bulky waste, collection, and we pay for that disposal by the ton, by weight. And then the other thing that affects us tremendously is the commodities market, right? So our recyclables like plastic and metal and glass, cardboard, those commodities fluctuate in value up and down all the time. And the trend has been down. We're not, even if we were doing amazingly as a town in recycling, right now, there's not much of an offset for those
Not much
recycling.
reward for the.
Yeah, there's just not much there currently.
And your biggest weight factor is paperweight, in whether it's cardboard, packaging and
Yep.
and periodical and whatever. That's the biggest weight factor there, and that's the one that's not returning spot.
oh, I know, because nobody's interested in recycling anything at the moment.
Exactly.
And I don't mean residents, no one,
Yeah.
the companies are not interested in taking it in for
So
recycling.
I think
But cardboard is the easiest one to do, right?
What's that? Melissa?
Isn't cardboard the easiest thing to recycle?
It's one of the easiest things to recycle, yes. But there's a glut of it. That's funny part of the problem, we've changed our, as a society, we've changed our habits, right? How many of us spend a lot of time in the store for, shopping for holidays? you know.
Now you be careful, you don't get run over by a delivery truck.
Right.
No, it's
Or a
scary.
truck.
It's,
One knocks you down, the other runs you over.
it's scary. I live by myself and I fill that recycle bin every 2 weeks and I'm lucky if I put out my garbage, once a month, if that much.
Yeah.
It's just scary with the amount of unreusable materials that as a society we use.
So a couple of things are actually happening on that front. So I asked the Conservation Commission to work with the library staff, and they've sort of started, it's a slow start. And I've asked that, that they look at, biodegradable waste, banana peels and apple cores and things like that. And look at that to see if there is a way that we can implement a successful program, because that would take that stuff out of the waste stream.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you have seen the Green Dome on Route 44 in Coventry. That's actually
Oh, yeah.
that's an anaerobic digester.
Right.
Oh, that's what that is.
Right?
Right, and they're actually using that to take care of cow manure at this point.
Right.
But they also have some capacity to take that kind of food waste.
Wow.
That'd be nice.
So there's some of that that's happening in the region,
My
but
compost.
also the other thing that's happened, and probably the only one at this table that has any history on this, is that Capital Region Council of Governments has recently re-energized, CSWA, which is all about garbage and trash collection. And that group is meeting. I sit on the board of directors for CSWA as well as just a regular member. And we are trying to look at all of these things as initiatives. We're not the only town that's seeing these problems. Every municipality is in the same boat with regard to, waste collection and disposal. And so we are looking at trying to find some regional solutions. Although we've signed some pretty decent long-term contracts based on what was going on out there in the world. When we combine together as a region, we may be able to do better. And so, these are the things that we work on and look at all the time.
Yes, just like, if I could contact the restaurant association and get them to cut down on the portions of it. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old, but, boy, there's always plenty of stuff left on my plate.
Yeah, the other thing I will mention too is there's a big move afoot of trying to make the manufacturers of items responsible for some of the
Yep.
costs of the disposal of their packaging.
Right.
And so I think what we're gonna see over a period of time is we're gonna see things come through to us with minimalized packaging.
Yeah, why, as a society, we have not been able to solve this problem.
No,
We come up with a better type of packaging that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the brain power to figure it out, makes you work on it.
It is not our fuel garbage side that's the issue. It's our recyclables.
Yep. Okay, any other questions under town update? I just don't have anything under other that I'm aware of. So then we can,
Ross, wait, I wanted to do the supplemental.
oh, okay, sorry, Jim.
Nope, that's okay. And it's in your packets, but I didn't get it in time to put it in
the screen.
this, yes.
Okay,
So if, actually, hold on one second. So the grand list for the supplemental is 6,588,484, which calculates to if at 100% collection would be 213,664.78. But again, we went with 94% for regular motor vehicles, and I would suggest doing looking at the same, but we're looking pretty good though, I think, because what did we put in? Let me look, we put in 195,000. So I'm really thinking that we'll make that 195,000. We'll collect that.
Supplemental.
Correct. If you go up, Ross, to the beginning of that. Yeah. So we put in 195. I'm comfortable with that, I think. I think we'll collect that. Especially with Lori having someone as a third party to help us with the collections.
Any questions for Jill? On the supplemental, grantless supplemental? Okay, then we can move on to new business and take a look at our meeting dates. We go and turn that. Meeting dates for 2024 for the Finance Committee. And these are our regular meeting dates. This should look familiar to some folks who were at the last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption as presented.
Second. So we had a motion by Bob Morris, seconded by Bob Monroe. Discussion. This will be at the, these days at the same time, so 7:15. Any
Just-
discussion?
Just so you know, the January meeting will have to be a special meeting because we didn't approve it within 30 days.
Okay.
Which,
All right.
which means we
Yeah.
can't have other on the agenda.
Yeah, so we'd have to be very specific about what goes on the
Right.
agenda in advance of posting it.
Right.
So if there's something out of the ordinary we need to discuss, it's got to get on there before.
Correct.
I have a process question. So in the past, right, we had the Board of Selectmen come and present to the Board of Finance, and the Board of Ed come and present to the Board of Finance on their budgets. Now that it's a finance committee with members from each of those boards on it, are we going to have the same process?
That's a good question, but let's go finish up this motion first and then see where we can, no, I think it's a very good question because that's why I brought it up at the beginning. It's new dynamics and everything.
The meeting schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
When would they do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, you can
Mr.
type,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah. Question,
this is the clerk.
yes.
So you won't be able to approve the schedule as presented because you're gonna have to take the January meeting off that because they're all regular meeting dates.
That is a good, well, it doesn't say regular,
But that's what you're presenting to the town clerk are your regular meeting dates.
okay, that is a good point, thank you.
And it's
Yeah.
just a draft, so it will be changed and provided to everyone.
And just a suggestion that I made to the Board of Selectmen at their meeting when they did theirs, because they ran into the same problem. They added the January 2025 meeting date to the schedule so that in case this happens next year, it will be on the schedule and you won't have to have a special meeting.
She's saying go out one more month.
Go out another month.
To 2025.
No, we could do that. So what we could do on this one then,
Let me look it up.
is let's modify, I'm hearing your thing to modify the Thursday, January 18th meeting to say special meeting after it.
Correct.
And then a question, and then also the addition of a December 2025 meeting,
January.
January, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, 2025 meeting.
It would be
Yeah.
the 16th.
So we would add a January 16, 2025.
I shall amend my motion.
So Bob Mora has amended his motion to reflect the marking of Thursday, January 18, 2024 as a special meeting and the addition of Thursday, January 16, 2025 to the schedule. So I guess we need Mr. Monroe to second that. What?
Oh, okay.
Yes, we do have that. It's on the floor. Yes.
Do we have to put that they will be hybrid, offered as hybrid now, or can we make that change in advance of the meetings? Cause right now it just says they will be held at the town hall, so they're in-person meetings. But we have always had a hybrid option, so I didn't know if we needed to do that now or
That's a
could
good
change
point.
them.
Unless,
Oh, I can change that, but that's just that that you can go to the town hall, but I can change it if you want me to put it.
I didn't make that part of my motion, so we can deal with separately.
Yeah. Because you can change all of the schedule in advance with proper notice. You can move or
48
change the regular, regular meeting dates. So any further discussion on the amended motion? Seeing none and no hands raised on the screens, then all those in favor, let's go around the room. Amanda,
I,
Rhea,
Aye.
Ashley,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Monroe, Ross, I.
Bob, Maura, aye.
Then the motion passes unanimously by the Finance Committee members present. Then we can move on to the dates for the CAPA Committee because that is us as well participating in that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to modify that one too.
So this was just dates that Jim had suggested, but
Right.
it's totally up to you. Just suggested dates.
But we have to be done by the end of January.
That's,
There isn't very much leeway.
right, so
Correct.
I'll move that we have set our CAPA meeting as follows, a special meeting on Tuesday, January 9th at 6:30 at, do we have a place? Do we have a town hall?
I'm not sure.
To be announced, location to be announced. And the second meeting, Thursday, regular meeting, Thursday, January 25th, 6:30, location to be announced.
I,
Do I have a second on that?
Rhea,
Where's
We have a motion. You made a motion.
I made a motion.
So then we need a second, then we can have discussion.
Second.
So Bob Moore made the motion, Bob Monroe seconded it. Discussion.
Rhea and I have a conflict on the 25th,
25th,
I believe.
that's a Thursday.
The DTC, I think that's the DTC.
Yes. I
Meeting.
think it is
No,
before.
we have both conflicts.
Well, that's right, because we have the RTC at the same time.
We both on the 9th. Oh, this is really a pain.
Oh, so ours is on the
I'm gonna
25th and
withdraw
yours
my
is on the
motion.
9th?
All of a sudden, we're getting, we're both, both days conflicting dates, so. I can do it without you. Well, I know that, but let's try and make it so that.
Because
It can
the
work.
way we're organized now and the fact that we're doing things new, it would be good if we could work out a way for us all to, as many of us to be here as
Right.
possible.
We do it a little earlier,
It takes a good, oh, yeah,
hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, our meeting started at 7:30.
same
So
here.
is the Republican one same time.
We could do it at 5 or
At
5:30.
5 or 5:30, if the member, I mean, that, we have done a number of meetings like that, if it's.
I can do it. It's like I'm retired. It's not a problem. I'm not more concerned about the people who are
Yeah,
not.
or, does that work? Can you do that?
I think so.
7:30.
Which day?
Let's say 5
Same days, we do it
Same
at 5.
different time.
o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the commander said 5:30.
Did you
So
say
was 5:30 work better? Amanda, is that
I can do
The
5.
sorry, the 25th? All right, I'm in the wrong.
Both of them, I think.
January
both the 9th and the 25th, both days?
Yeah, Thursdays is fine.
Okay. 3 years, okay, then I will.
I'll miss a previously scheduled.
So you probably
Yeah,
want
but-
to vote on your.
This will be fun. We'll be happy.
I'm gonna redo my motion here. I'll move that the CAPA meeting schedule be as follows. Special meeting Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 at 5 PM. Location to be announced. The regular meeting Thursday, January 25th, also at 5 PM. Location to be announced.
So Bob Moore amended his motion. Bob Monroe seconded the amended motion. Any further discussion? Then let's do a vote on it. Amanda,
I,
Rhea, Ashley.
Aye.
Aye.
Bob Monroe, aye, and Ross Howie, aye, and Bob Moore, aye. So it passes unanimously.
I like these motions.
So then let's go on to the possible approval of the 2025 Auditor and Finance Committee budgets. Jill and I need to get those in. So let me
A lot
go
of bucks
here.
here.
Yeah, now this is where we talk about the high finance of paying for ourselves. So last year we ran a little bit short and had to do a transfer. And so it looks like we're about $200, $200 over budget. So we have increased our budget for 2023 to 2024. So the question is really, what do you want to do for 2024 to 25? Because I'm presuming there'll be some increases in payroll, which is our clerking, and probably in, advertising. I'm less concerned about the office expenditures, being an increase unless folks think otherwise.
So
Mr. Prater.
can I just, so my thought, and maybe, and I'm not sure this is how it's gonna go, but because you're a committee that works with the two different Board of Ed and Selectmen, I'm thinking maybe we won't have as many meetings, or we won't need to have as many meetings as we have in the past, because it was, you know what I mean? I mean, you're all part of what created those individual budgets, and now you're getting together to do the final budget. I'm thinking maybe we won't need as many meetings, but I'm not positive.
I think the meetings are more driven, not so much by the presentations that people have to do, but by what goes on when we get to the referendum. And I'm thinking that's going to be a challenge this coming.
Until you get to that point, we had a lot of meetings before, just to get to that point. I'm not sure that we're gonna need as many because of the form of the finance committee now.
You may be more efficient.
Exactly.
Feel
Exactly.
like the monthly meetings aren't really as, what the core of it is really the referendum. Like
Yeah.
that's what the purpose of the two parties coming together, the two sides coming
Yeah.
together to inform the referendum. I feel like all these monthly meetings isn't as.
I'm,
We're not
So
talking about big bucks.
it's not big bucks. And what I would be more comfortable with are being, having a couple $100 to give back to the town and wasting the time and effort to ask for transfers of $50 here, $25 there. So I think I would feel comfortable with keeping the budget the same. I wouldn't want to reduce it. And, and you might want to raise it slightly, but we're not talking big dollars here.
Yeah.
And it's not worth having a long discussion over it, because we're not going to make or break the town, and we'll save more money by avoiding transfers, in time.
So can I recommend increasing the payroll budget to $2,000. Maintaining advertising is not gonna be any cheaper.
No,
I would raise that.
That will probably go up.
I would raise that to 200, and our office operation, I'd keep that the same. That's my suggestion.
so increase payroll to 2,000 and the advertising to 200.
Yep.
Was that a motion or a suggestion?
Well, I'll make it a motion. Speed things along.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, so Amanda seconded Bob Moore's motion for 200, increase payroll to 2,000 and advertising to $200, leave office operating expenditures the same at 500. And this is for fiscal year 24 to 25. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Let's just go around again. Amanda, Rhea, Ashley,
Aye.
Bob, and Ross, I, and the other Bob.
Bye-bye.
So the sequence of the Bobs doesn't matter, as long as they both say the same thing.
I'll do the form and send it in to Jim's office tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
Then let's go on to the other one, which is a few more dollars than this one, which is the auditor. Budget. Amanda, you have a question.
I do. So we put out a bid, correct, for a new auditor?
We're about to put the bid out.
Oh, we never, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because remember,
So
we
we don't
approved for the extension so that they would have
Yeah.
time to do
Right.
the bid and not.
Right.
We're gonna put that out sometime in the month of January.
Okay.
So we should have time to adjust this based on the decision of the board before we finish our budget process. So my recommendation would be to keep it as it is at
Yeah.
the moment. And, you know, ask the Board of Selectmen to adjust it when you make a decision,
And the good thing of having a set price like that,
is it won't change.
they look at it, so instead of having a higher one out there, they say, oh, they got that much in there, we'll bid that. I mean, that happens. I'll move that we maintain the budget in that auditing services category.
I'll second.
So Bob Mora made the motion to keep it at 45K. Amanda seconded it. Further discussion. Then go around again. Amanda,
Aye.
Rhea,
Aye.
Ashley,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Ross, aye.
Aye.
And the other Bob passes the unanimously. And then Jill, we have a budget transfer that we need to approve.
Correct.
$125. Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's out of budget.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's out of department. It's taken from another department and put it, so it's, once it's out of department, you have to approve it.
I'll move the transfer in the public health budget of $125 from the senior budget category, other professional service to category other contracts, PH,
Public health.
public health.
I'll second.
So Bob Mora made the motion. Amanda seconded it. Further discussion. Okay, let's go around again. I'll mix things up. Bob Mora,
Aye.
Bob Monroe,
Aye.
Ross, aye. Ashley,
Aye.
Rhea,
Aye.
and Amanda.
Aye.
So the budget transfer passes unanimously.
Thank you.
And then let's just move on to the last item on the agenda, which was communications. I'll just read into the record, just for folks who weren't here, the memo that we put together at our last meeting of the finance. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I need to read it so much as just ask if anybody has any questions about it. We were really just trying to make sure that anything that we noted as the Board of Finance get passed along as just suggestions, best practices, or considerations. So a lot of it was around just being fiscally responsible and keeping our communication open. Look at the town's financial statements and audit documents annually to ensure town is in compliance. So dig a little bit deeper into that. And transparency kept coming up along with communications, and better to over communicate than to under communicate. And especially with the challenges I think that we're going to have around passing a budget next year. It's just good that we be open about what's going on. And again, we had to explore all sources of revenue, because the challenge that we saw that Bolton had was really one of revenue for what we want to do, particularly, with the school systems being such a large part of the budget. It's really with a small town with not a lot of businesses. Where do you get that money from? And some of the pockets that all this money is coming from are getting stretched rather thin, and we've had the inflation and COVID and all that stuff. So again, it was just for all of us to be aware of that and have that, in the record. So I don't know if there's any questions from the newbies on the team, to those of us who are on the Board of Finance before about any of, what's in here.
No,
So I guess-
it's a good little outline. Thank you for putting it together.
I'll thank Amanda. She's the one who will put it together. I tagged her with it at the last minute.
That happens a lot. I must have like a big.
You do. You're very good at doing presentations of this stuff.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that I will think that we should put on our special meeting that you brought up, Amanda, is let's have it on the agenda of how are we going to work discussion on what, how do we work together as a team when it comes to presentation of the new budget. So Jill, if you can think of putting that on there as a business or other or whatever for the special meeting. And for folks to keep that in mind, if you don't see it on the agenda, because one of us forgot to make sure it gets there, let's have it on there, because I think it's a very important topic, because this is new, new grounds. And it's supposed to make us more efficient, so let's see what we can do to make it more efficient.
One question,
Sure.
and last year, I believe all your meetings were both virtual and in person.
Yes.
The assumption is all our meetings will be virtual and in person, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Look, that,
It's on our record.
that really is the policy of the Board of Selectmen, is to have all of our meetings that way
but,
for regulatory boards and commissioners.
so I just put it in the record.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't know if we finished Amanda's discussion about how are we gonna deal with Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen budgets as a committee?
That's what I brought up to put on the agenda for
Okay,
the next
so
time.
You're gonna discuss it the next
Yeah,
time.
because we,
Although, do we have enough?
Just so you know, there is a state statute that budgets must be presented to you, the finance committee, by March 15th.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is, are, like, is the expectation that the whole board comes and presented, or is it the expectation that representatives on this committee do the presentation, or like,
So
how do we want
let's
that?
think about it and then we can talk
Yeah.
about it.
Because
Because it's
this will be
something,
the time.
it would be good to think about outside of here and then bring it back in and we can see, get that out of the way earlier rather than later.
Yep.
Rhea,
These details, these strategies or procedures outlined in the charter, or is it left for us?
Mm-mm.
For
No,
us to make?
For
I
us.
think we have to operationalize
They're
it.
It's
more-
an
the
operation.
charter tells more of what to do and when, not how to do it.
When you have to have it done by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, when
When.
you have to-
Yeah.
Yeah. So good question. We definitely need that on the next agenda so we can start figuring out our SOPs, so to speak.
Has anyone, could I just ask this question? It's Kristen Hecht, please. Has anyone, looked at how, I believe this new setup was modeled after somebody else, another town. And if so, have we looked at, well, that's my understanding. And have we looked at how they do it?
Good question. We can take that out, offline and take a look at it. I know I have not, so I will only speak for myself, but I'm not seeing anybody else saying, yeah, I did that.
So,
So good question, because it's like, don't reinvent the wheel. We
I
don't.
have a couple suggestions, but I'll save it for the meeting.
Yep, because it's time to adjourn.
All right, and also move.
Okay,
That was
seconded. That's quick. So Bob made the motion and Bob seconded it, and we're out of here then. I don't. think we have-